chair has talked about the state capture. From where I sit and from my thing, I will then bring another theory, the theory of budgeted corruption. Yeah, and the theory of budgeted corruption, if you can imagine, take a highway. We are starting here from Nairobi and we are going to Thika. And the highway, you know, it's got several lanes, and the most important thing is the exits. So you know, everybody plans the journey and they know as the cars start off, each one knows where it's going to go. And that's what I'm trying to liken with this issue, what I say, it's a theory of budgeted corruption. And that basically says that is our budget actually loaded with corruption? Because if it is, then it means it fits the theory of a highway, because you agree on it from Nairobi, but you know exactly where which exit is going to be taken. Yeah, and who is waiting? So once its exit is gone, whatever little which is staying there, we reach Thika, but we reach in another governance system altogether. So this is where I'm really concerned that really, are we in a situation where our budget is loaded with corruption? That means that it jives with what you call the state capture. And I think once you look at it, then you say, who are these potential players in all this, in that highway and in Nairobi, who then will have to send the cars off to pick and arrive there? And who are the people who can trace the cars out of the exits? That's the point. That's the point which I'm trying to raise today. And if it is indeed budgeted corruption, then our budget making is something which we must start looking at in very strongly. Because I think in the new Constitution 2010, it was to take the budget making out of sort of treasury to make it more our budget through the parliament. The parliament is actually supposed to be the one who decides on the cake. Yes, how it's going to be divided, even as it goes along the highway. And I think also the 2010 Constitution actually recognized that you need to have strong checks and balances. First of all, the cake, how it is baked, and then how it's going to be appropriated or divided between the two levels of government. That's fine. But the point here is the institutions which we created, several institutions were created in order to ensure that the checks and balances in the system is there. And at the cake sharing level, you know, we have, I would liken the CRA, you know, the Commission of Revenue Allocation was put there to be an independent you know, overseer in how we divide the cake between the two levels of government. But more importantly is to take away that cake making from an over-concentrated, which was concentrated in the former system, say, in the treasury system. And also to devoid our system of, you know, issues of using the budget as a political thing. Then there is another office which was created, which was supposed to be control of the budget. And then you have my offices and other independent offices. In other words, the Kenyans were very clear that the cake, as it leaves the station from Nairobi, we want it controlled. So has that really been happening? Has we done? So the first thing is that we really have not reached that stage yet. Because what was meant to have happened, and in my view, just as the internal checks between the division of the cake, there was going to be a division of authority between the treasury and the processes of that process going through the Thika Highway. And that's why we set up, I believe, we set up the control of the budget. So the control of the budget was really meant to take over once the processes of baking the cake is finished. From day one, 1st of July, they would take control and then control the processes And that means that, first of all, did we capacitate this control of the budget to do that? I believe we have not, because nothing has changed from the original, what to call, straightforward national, the unitary government from the two levels of government which we desire to have. Because the control of the budget was really meant to, once the budget has been done, everything else, I believe, from the exchequer, everything else should have gone to the control of the budget. Right now, I think the control of the budget, I would say, is doing a good job, but it's giving us more statistical accountability than what we really desired. We desired that once the budget has been and the cars have been set off, the controller of the budget takes care of those cars and say the car is left as it is now being spent or it's moving along the thick highways. Is the control of the budget was supposed now to say the budget is there, the exchequer is there, you release it, and there it goes. So that control of the budget will be doing a more important control. I think we failed in that because we still are in the unitary system because the budget is still controlled, although you imagine it is backed by the parliament, but it is very much still controlled in a unitary system, which is therefore the question begs about the corruption and the potential of budgeting, and therefore the internal checks which we intended has not been realized. And that's a very major thing which we have to revisit, even those who are clamoring for revisit of the Constitution, whether the control of the budget is doing that. Because if the controller of the budget was doing that, then even if you had budgeted it, it would be stopped. It would not find its way. You do not find an exit along the thick highway. So, and that is very important because I come and audit during the cars when the cars are moving, and we are trying to make sure that we are also fighting, we are contributing this fight by making sure that we are doing work which is responsive and resonating with the ordinary person on the ground. In other words, we are doing more timely work and basically leveraging on technology here. Now, the other second thing is the system of the highway which we are looking at, the thick highway. We had a very good system in which that highway was called IFMIS, the IFMIS system, and that's the highway. Once we set the car, this system was meant to block any cars going out. So the question is it really blocking the cars going the exits which they shouldn't go, or reaching thicker, so to speak, reaching the ground where it is responding to our needs as citizens and responding to the issue of delivery on the ground. I think that's another question we must look at. Because the system was actually also conceived to be a unitary system. But we then gave ourselves a constitution which is supposed to be delivery-based, and which was very clear that there's two levels of governments. There's a national government and the county government. But then you have a system which is unitary, interposed on a system which is these two distinct levels of government. Is it time that we should now actually revisit that system and say, really, we should be having IFMIS 1 and IFMIS 2 for the government, for the national government and the county government? Because some of the things which we are looking at and also the issues which are now current begs that question. Is the system that, the unitary system, is it really responding to the devolved system? Because if it was responding to the devolved, we should have an IFMIS 2 which can speak to IFMIS 1, but which is responsive to the budgetary controls which we require at the county level. And also it makes that corruption to be much more. We break down the theory of take a highway in a two levels so that we can control